Stand Up Diaries with Michelle Christine.
Hello! Welcome to Stand Up Diaries entry 183. Now it's quite bright with the sunshine right now, so hopefully you can see this. I feel like the light is like reflecting off my skin, kind of like in Twilight when it did it with the vampires. I am not a vampire. It's entry 183 and it says choices. Choices, and in each direction I have an arrow pointing. One's to home right up here, one's to touring over here, one's to Los Angeles over here, and one's to fringes over here. And I feel like sometimes my life is getting pulled in a bunch of different directions and I don't know which one to take. So I went to Body Worlds at the Science Center in Los Angeles, which was really cool. I used to work at the Ontario Science Center for one of my co-op jobs, and Body Worlds was apparently one of the more popular exhibits that had come through there, so I really did want to check it out this weekend, and I went with Dean. And one of the things it showed was chocolate, right? So they had like in a little display, one little thing of chocolate, like say milk chocolate as an example, one small one. And you know, contestants or what's the term? I guess if you're doing an experiment, the people who you're experimenting on were given just this one choice of this chocolate after they were allowed to buy that chocolate if they wanted, or say how much they were satisfied with the choices. Then one person had 6 different options of chocolate, and again you could pick what you wanted, and then one person had 30 options of chocolate. And they actually did this study, and the people who only had one choice were the least happy and least likely to buy a chocolate. Then in second place, the people who had 30 choices of different chocolates were not terribly happy and did not buy that much chocolate. But the people that had 6 choices were the most happy and ended up buying the most amount of chocolate. And it kind of showed how if you have too many options, oftentimes instead of being productive or happy, you end up getting overwhelmed and stressed because there's a million things that you could be doing, and what you're not doing, you're feeling sorry or like, should I have gone down that path? And I find sometimes I think, okay, do I want to keep doing fringe festivals? Go to different places, or maybe go to some of the same fringe festivals, try to build some hubs in those places again, or new places to festivals I've never been and do like the fringe option. Or do I want to tour? Do I want to go across Canada again? Do I want to go across America, try to get a sponsor and do say a North American tour or American or Canadian tour? Or do I want to stay in Los Angeles? Because every time I kind of start building up some momentum of things, then I go off and to do a fringe festival, and I'm kind of trying to balance both, but is it as effective trying to balance both, or say stay in Los Angeles and try to make a consistent weekly show as an example? And then another one is home. I miss home, I miss my family, my nieces are growing up so quickly, and I'm going to see them thankfully for Christmas Eve. I'm coming and landing at like 9 p.m. so they don't know that I'm going to be there, so it's a little secret, but they're too young to have Facebook so they won't see this. And anyway, and you just have so many options that sometimes I find like, what is the best strategy moving forward? And I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not exactly sure. Like, I know I love going to fringe festivals. I know I love building those fan bases and traveling, but then I'll come back to Los Angeles and it feels like you're like ripped out of this incredibly focused, set festival. You have a show every single night. It's an hour long. You flyer all day. You do the show. You hang out with people. You had fun. You get up. You do it all over again. And it's so structured. And I like that structure, and I find it very, very motivating. And then I come back to LA and I think, okay, I want to do, you know, a show this month at Meltdown Comics at the Nerd Melt showroom. And the next month I want to go back to the Virgil and do a new show there. But sometimes I wonder, you know, would it be easier to market these shows if I had, say, a weekly show and everyone knows, hey, Sunday nights you're at Meltdown, or on Friday nights you're at the Virgil, and make something more consistent and have like a weekly show there. And yeah, like, do I want to use this visa more because I have a visa to legally work in the United States, and then do an American tour, try to get a sponsor, go to places like, you know, Vegas, or go to Pittsburgh, Boston, New York, Seattle? Or, do I want to then do kind of like a little kind of a home base type of show? Like make sure that, my fans in Toronto still know that I'm there and that I care, and, see my family a little bit while exploring more shows in Toronto. So everything has its own weight and its own merit. And the simple part is the answer is not clear. You don't know what is going to be the best route to take. You just try to do the best that you can. But it kind of struck a chord with me seeing that Body Worlds exhibit and realizing, yeah, when you have too many options, it often doesn't actually make you happier. It makes you feel like you have a lot of regret or anxiety in choosing or not choosing to do something. So sometimes I think, okay, just sit down and write kind of a pros and cons list to all the different options, or go with your gut is something a lot of people always say. Go with your gut. What does your heart tell you? And it's just not that easy sometimes trying to figure out what is my next best step moving forward, because as interesting and as free as I feel sometimes as a stand-up, being able to write your own material and perform it on stage, it's very difficult to get success in the sense of like, how do I pay my bills doing comedy? I don't have a career right now where I can sustain, paying, rent and things like that. And sometimes I thought, well, if you just do fringe after fringe after fringe, some people don't actually have a set address. Like they don't even have an apartment. They just hop from festival to festival to festival, and that's an option that works best for them. So it's quite interesting at this stage in my career, thinking what's my 5-year plan. And sometimes I find it difficult to craft that plan because I'm just unsure of what road to take. So sometimes I think that these diaries are kind of interesting in the sense that, I can go back and watch, say, 3 years ago and see that I'm just, doing open mics, and maybe I haven't even, gone on tour yet, or I haven't headlined a show when I go back 4 years or things like that, and to see the progression of it and to know that I don't always know what I'm doing. I'm just doing the best that I can, but this is a very difficult career, and a lot of people say, oh, comedy, you're so brave. But I don't find the hardest part performing. That I find sometimes the easiest part, because you're up on stage and you love what you do and this is your moment. I find kind of the business aspect and the strategy and the game plan and that 5-year list of goals is sometimes the most difficult part, because you're going in uncharted territory in a lot of ways, and you're just trying to do what's going to help you get to the next level, and enjoy the journey along the way, because you want to be happy. The struggle is part of the journey, and I'm okay with that, but you want to be able to make sure that you're not just chasing success, that you're also hopefully enjoying the journey as you get there. So I thought that this stand-up diary would be all about kind of the unknown, the choices, the not like the I have this or I have that, the what do I do next? Because it's not always clear. And today I was just updating my website with my next show, because I'm doing one December 9th at Meltdown Comics at the Nerd Belt showroom, and I got an email from the LA Weekly, and they said that they were considering the show for pick of the week for the week of that December. So that was actually quite nice, because you're like, oh wow, good things happen, and sometimes you might be having a bit of an existential crisis of what am I doing, where am I going, and then you get just one simple email that someone saw what you're producing and they're intrigued by it, and it gives you a renewed sense of confidence, like I'm in the right place and I'm doing the right things, and the path will not always be clear, but that's okay. And I also, what else? I'm going to judge a comedy contest tonight, so there's a thing at Sal's Comedy Hole, and it's like apparently Anthony Jeselnik won this comedy contest a few years ago, so they're looking for a few judges to help kind of rank the comedians, so I'm going to be one of the judges, which is kind of cool, so that's going to be something new and unique for me as well. So yeah, things are going, things are doing. Kuz is here paying attention. I can kind of see him in the thing. I hope he's actually there. Okay, good. I think I'm not actually looking at him and I'm patting him. Oh yeah, but I also got an email or a Gmail message from somebody that I didn't notice because I don't use a lot of I think it's like Google Plus or something like that, saying, hey, follow along with your stand-up diaries, and I find them really inspiring. And sometimes you need that, like a simple nod that, hey, you're doing okay and you're on the right path is all that you need to be like, okay, it's all gonna be okay. Anyways, this has been your next edition of Stand Up Diaries. I have been Michelle Christine. Bye!